So I haven't made one of these videos in a while, and I guess that's probably a good thing considering I'm not doing, well, any treatment or anything. But at the moment, it's not good because I've got some more news. So, um, I'll pick up where it all kind of started. So, we were still in all the COVID things, and then school, we were allowed to go back. And I had 4 days. 4 days of being normal and going to school and enjoying my senior year. However, on the fourth day, things took a turn. I stayed back for school to do some drama thing, and on the way home, I started to feel these pains, and I thought it was just in my right arm because I'm always getting nerve pain. Like, that's a constant thing, and it had been getting worse, but this time it was across here and on my right side, and it was just unbearable and not like anything I felt before, and so completely different to the nerve pain. And I tried to have a tub or something because that usually helps to make it feel better or at least provide some relief for me, but nothing was working, and eventually I was in that much pain I couldn't breathe, and I told my mom, I was like, I need to go. We need to go to the hospital because this isn't normal. And when we were trying to get out the door, my sister was holding me up because we know I do have dizzy fits a bit, and I often fall over. And there was just this sharp pain, and I did end up falling over on the floor. At least my sister caught me and kind of let me fall softly. Thank goodness. But it was just unbearable. Like, nothing you could ever imagine, because with every breath it just hurt more and more and more. And then I ended up in the ER. And so it was good because at least when you walk in and you're like, oh yeah, I've got a history of cancer, they get you straight in. So there wasn't too much waiting around. Luckily, however, we did spend an hour trying to get a cannula in my arm due to me having panic attacks over the needles, because big fear, and as well just got tiny veins that don't like to don't like to work. So that wasn't fun. And then they had to do a bunch of test things. They took blood and checked my heart and all these things. All that was coming back normal. And then I had to go get an X-ray on my lung, which was, pretty easy. Those are good. You don't need any contrast or anything for those. And it was still pretty confusing because we had no idea what was going on. And eventually a doctor came in and we were still in the ER, and they said, "You've got a collapsed lung." So that was a shock, obviously. They said that there was a hole in my lung which was causing stuff to be in there and that shouldn't be, and like deflated and stuff. I don't know, it was really confusing because they kept saying pneumothorax, which means collapsed lung. And that word just kept confusing me, and it was too much. I was so confused with all of it. And then so they were like, we could either drain it but at the moment we're just going to put you on oxygen. So they put me on oxygen, and I stayed the night in ER, which wasn't fun. Interesting stories from that. But the whole time, my mum was with me. Thank goodness she was the one that took me. We kept asking, is this related to cancer? Is this related to what's in my arm? And they kept saying no. And then I spent the night in ER, and I woke up that morning, and then they ended up sending me into the ward. Would have been better if I got to sleep in the ward, in a nicer bed, but it's alright, they looked after me. And so I spent the whole night on oxygen, on a full breather thing, and then I was still on that in the ward. And thank goodness I was getting some good pain meds. Made it a bit normaler to breathe and didn't hurt as much. And then then in the morning when I got moved up to the ward, we saw more doctors and they kind of repeated the same thing. Yeah, collapsed lung, we're going to do some scans and things, and like they were going to do a CT scan. And I was already due for my 6 months checkup, so we were like, please, can we just do her MRI here as well? Because those were the two I needed to do. And luckily, they said yes, so that meant I didn't need a needle in another day, so thank God. And so I had to go down and do those scans, and once it was weird because they had to wheel me around in the bed everywhere. And once again, every time I went into like a room or everything, I hear the whispers, "Oh, she's so young," because it just pisses me off. And you're just surrounded by people who are a lot older than I am, which is kind of scary. But that's a whole nother thing. And yeah, so we did all the scans. And then we just had to do a lot of waiting. Then they started weaning me off the oxygen slowly, taking me down level by level. And then, yeah, we had these official doctors come back in and be like, yeah, it's a collapsed lung. And we could drain it out and put like a thing in and stuff, but they didn't want to do that because they said something that could make it come back later on, that could increase those chances. And as well, because I've already been through so much, they didn't want to do that. Because at this point, all I was worrying about is when can I go back to school? So I waited so long to be back, and I wasn't back again. And yeah. And even those doctors that we were talking to then, we were asking, is it related to cancer? And they're like, no, it's so little chances of that. We doubt it. It's not. And I shouldn't know. Like, I did tell them, I was like, look, statistics never on my side. I always like to be different and have nice little surprises. And they're like, oh yeah, true. But then I got discharged then. They were just like, oh, you just have to rest and not go to school for a while. Fun. And so I couldn't really do anything, couldn't walk. I could barely sit up properly. I couldn't sleep. It was hurting to breathe. And pretty much you could clock it when I was on the pain meds, like the 4 hours towards the end. I was like, no, I need it again. It was unbearable. And I couldn't even think to do any of the schoolwork at home, which was annoying. I was just useless again, which isn't fun because I hate that. I'm getting emotional. It's not even the bad bit yet. And yeah, and because I was already due for this 6 month scans with my team for like cancer doctors things, we called them up being like, oh, do we need to go get scans if we'd already had them done in hospital? We've got the results, we can send them to you. And they were like, yep, it's fine, send us the results. So my dad went and sent them the results that afternoon because he was in the city for work or something. And then we get a call later that night being like, we want you to do a PET scan and we want to see you as soon as possible. So that was on the Tuesday, and then I was in there on Thursday having a PET scan and then with an appointment to see the doctor right after that. PET scans are never fun because you always know those aren't necessarily good. I kind of associate bad things with all those scans though, so yeah. Once again, spending an hour trying to get the cannula in my arm because I kept crying and then kept missing the veins. Ugh, whole problem. But yeah, I did the PET scan, then we went over to Lifehouse, which is where my doctors are, and then I realised that we were going to see my oncologist. So something ticked in my brain being like, oh shit, this isn't good. Yep. So we got in there. My oncologist is lovely, such a nice guy. I feel sorry for him for the things he has to tell people. But, so I had to go and explain everything that had happened. And then he said, there was just that moment of silence where you can feel it in the air, like you know. Something's coming that's going to change things. And he said they found some nodules in my lungs that they think could be the sarcoma spread. Yeah, because that is quite common for sarcomas to be secondary in the lungs. And yeah. So there's quite a few, like, in both sides. Like, not quite a few, but like there's a couple in both. I don't know how many actually. I can't think. But yeah. And then so straight away they began to talk about what the plan would be after that, because obviously, they have to wait until my pneumothorax is fixed, so my lungs inflated again, to be able to double check and make sure, even though they seem pretty positive about it, and I've kind of got a gut feeling that they're right. So they said they've got a plan that I'd go into chemo, and I'd start this. They try and get me on this new drug trial, which has proved pretty effective, at least for epithelioid sarcoma. But it's scary, because now I'm in the waiting period of 4 weeks till I go back and see them again. And it's scary. Because just as things were getting normal again, and I thought I was getting better, it's not. It's scary. And I was so happy in hospital when they said it wasn't cancer related, and then it turns out it could be. So I think that's worse, is that because I knocked those thoughts out of my head. I wasn't prepared to hear that. And I know if I go through chemo, it's most likely gonna fall on my HSC trials. Because above all this, I'm still in year 12. I'm still trying to graduate with my year group. I'm still trying to graduate because I've worked so hard for it all throughout school. I've always been one to care. I've always looked forward to graduating, and it's killing me that I can't even do it properly, and I know that my mark I get at the end isn't gonna be the same as what I could have got if I wasn't sick, if I didn't have all this going on, if I could just be normal, but and as well, right after trials is my drama major, so that will be then as well. It's just so scary, because I'm just gonna be waiting. It's just, thoughts are gonna keep going and going and going. And I don't know anything 100% at the moment, and that's what's scary, is I hate the unknown. I just want to know a yes or no, so I can prepare. I can come up with a plan of attack. Right now, I don't know what I'm meant to do. And as well, we saw like the chest doctor thing today, the one who's looking at the pneumothorax, and he saw the nodules in my lungs as well. He's like, oh yeah, that could be it. And they also think that could have been what caused the pneumothorax, which is incredibly rare, but we know I like to be like that, so. But the only source of good news I've got is they said I can go to school tomorrow, which is so good. But I'm also scared because I haven't been there in like a week and things. And when I first got the collapsed lung, I was telling everyone it's not cancer related because that's what my doctors told me. But then now all this happens, and I'm scared for the questions and everything that comes with going to school, and I don't know if I'm ready to answer them. I don't know if I want to. I don't know what to say, which is why I'm doing this video. So I don't have to have those conversations. So I don't have to tell people again and again, because it's so hard to see the looks on their faces. To just, every time I tell someone, it becomes more real. Which is why pretty much no one knows about what's going on right now. But yeah, I just don't want the exhaustion of having those conversations. I guess those who care about me would be the ones sticking it out with these videos, because they genuinely care. And when I say I don't want those conversations, that doesn't mean like I don't want people to talk to me, because I hate it when people say, oh, I thought I'd give you space because you must have so many people going there at the moment. But that's like a load of bullshit, because everyone thinks that. Everyone thinks, oh, you can't go near her, you can't talk to her, you can't even mention what's going on to her. But it's just to get that initial bit out of the way, the telling people. That's what I don't like doing. I'm fine with talking about it if people really want to. It's just, if you care about me, you be here for me. And if I get the people who are just silent, it's rough. It's hard on me, because then it just says not so good thoughts that are created from that. Yeah. I don't really know where I'm going at the moment. I guess that's it. But yeah, I had a collapsed lung. It's still there, gotta be fixed, and they think that my cancer may have spread to my lungs. So yeah, that's it. Fun. Yeah. I guess that's it. Thanks for sticking it out.